Look at that. 5 minutes to go, and Kyle's like, I'm pushing the button. Kyle, why are you? I'm pushing the button, Kyle.
Good. Because
Now
of
he
me.
just wiggles in fucking disgust at himself. Like,
I bring the stream early.
Look at that. 5 minutes to go, and Kyle's
Shut up,
like,
Pastor. There you go.
You're an awful person. So, this week then, we do have a few interesting topics, but honestly, like the gaming news side of things has been kind of slow for a couple of weeks now.
Yeah, I do.
There has been some things, like you posted a few things, like the Slave 1 thing, which I honestly think is a bit of a controversy. Because it just looked like Disco. Yes. It looked like Discordia, who owns Star Wars now.
Give it.
Just mislabeled the goddamn box, basically, as like Boba Fett Starship. I don't think that was them being like, oh, we can't call it Slave 1. Because they've actually got plenty of stuff called Slave 1, so,
Yep. It did seem to just sort of like not really do anything. And as far as I know, Slave 1 is still canon, so it feels like it's one of those.
A little bit of an over-eager fan base, which is good, mind you. Like, that is actually good. People need to be sensitive to this stuff, but this was a little bit of a nothing burger, in my opinion.
Yep.
What else do we have? I mean, the Heartsfire and Force supply system. Like, I kind of want to talk about that, but I also don't want to talk about it until I actually, play it, because it sounds so good, and yet Paradox has a long and proud track record of screwing that shit up.
Paradox is like, look at this piece of paper, and you're like, wow, this paper looks really nice, and they're like, here's the game. It's like, well, that's like,
oh, Jesus! Not only doesn't it work, it broke everything else too. Holy shit! Good job.
Well, that's Europa 4.
Oh yes, the latest Europa 4 expansion. Holy crap!
What a disaster! I'd almost forgotten about that.
I think everyone wanted to, but that was just oosh. That broke everything. Literally everything. Not only was it a shitty expansion, it killed everything. Like, the game literally ceased to function. Good God, how do you even?
Yeah. Start with Lord of the Rings, shall we? Because
well, technically, we still have 2 minutes. Think of all the poor people who set like their alarm clocks to 11 and then are like, we already started. Slow.
Too bad. Chat will have to get over the fact that I started early and they can't stop me.
Plus, we do have 2 messages to cover real quick. First, Boag donates several tacos to say, when will you start up a weekly Wii webcast featuring Kibbs and his improper pronunciation? I mean, if he isn't keeping his promise to play Dota, then at least punish him by talking about trashy isekais, yes indeed, and manhwa. See? I would not be surprised if there was a hole in the market for just that. Particularly if we have Kyle pronounce every single title, like that would be entertainment in and of itself.
Oof. Yeah, I'm gonna have to ask for a raise. That's not fun. I already get.
You'd be goddamn lucky if I don't cut your fucking income already.
Rude, starving, no tacos for Keeb.
It'd be pretty great, because the chat would then be occupied trying to guess what title we're actually talking about. Like, the Sekai Isekai of Ito. And it's like, the chat's like, what?
You can't even do it right. That's the sad part.
I can't. That's the problem.
Oh, that's funny. He's like, I know the weeb words, because I used to live in Japan.
Japanese. Japanese is not a difficult language. Or, well, it is, to an extent. The pronunciation can be really derpy for a Westerner, and getting your head around the fact that they literally speak backwards is, like, that was what took me the longest to basically, like, I need to hold the whole sentence in my head and wait for the sentence to finish before going like, okay, compute.
Mm-hmm.
Silly language.
Very true.
But it is now 11. So, the first thing for today, I wasn't kidding when I said that we would be having Lord of the Rings is gay now news every single week. Because that is exactly what is happening.
Oh my god, the picture.
To be fair, I actually kind of like the art style. Like, it looks touching, romantic, soft, rounded. I don't mind it.
The line work is sloppy.
Yeah, but I think that's intentional.
But
Pretty sure it's intentional.
it has a good use of color choice.
It's very reminiscent of a manga, actually, where dungeon delvers or something, where they delve into a dungeon and they eat the monsters inside because they run out of food. And it's presented like a cooking manga. How to prepare a minotaur penis. Disco perks up.
Oh, there she is. She's getting excited.
It's actually kind of a cool manga. Although the ending drags and drags and drags and drags and drags some more. Anywho, that's not the topic. So, the title of this Polygon piece here, and Polygon is one of the stinkiest little rags out there, is queer readings of The Lord of the Rings are not accidents, and they are entirely correct in that. There's nothing accidental about this popping up now, of all times. This is trying to prepare the ground, and it's following the exact same usual system of all of this. Like last week, we saw one article being like, Simon Frodo is gay, la 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 la. And now everyone is doing it, because this is the progressive propaganda network kicking into overdrive here. Ah, yes, Dungeon Meshi, thank you, bud. That was the name of the manga. And they're not wrong either. Queer readings is not an accident. That is entirely correct, because you really gotta dig goddamn deep to find the queer in this. Like, one of these sections in this Polygon article that I thought was particularly telling was how it's like, the book starts by saying that Bag End is a very queer place, very full of queer things. And it's like, well, queer is an ancient word for the homosex. So clearly, what he meant was that it was a den of homosexuals. No, queer is an English word that means strange. That's it.
Yep. People are overreacting and overreading into what he wrote to misinterpret it intentionally, because what they're already trying to do is they're already attempting to subvert his work.
Yes, this is not a misreading. This is not a misinterpretation. This is very much so an intentional interpretation. Because as the ever-fat Stephanie Sterling, I think he's called now, Jim Sterling, once said, and to be fair, this is one of the points that I do agree with him on. He's a leftist nutcake, but that's besides the point. He made the point that anything can be political, and so he made a video trying to state that Dark Souls had a political narrative, and it was completely absurd, but he ended with a very valid point. Anything can be made political if you interpret it hard enough, which is kind of a self-defeating point too. It's like, well, if anything is political, then nothing is political, because you have to interpret all of it. And this is definitely that. This is pushing a narrative and agenda, as literally a day after, of course, The Guardian launches an article, which is not even an article in and of itself. It is just filleting the Polygon piece and linking to it, and the circular corporatist shuttlecock of all of this nonsense. Like, it would be very strange if modern-day adoptions didn't make some of the characters homosexual. Why? Well, because diversity. Why? Because inclusion. Why? Because politics. That's why.
It's sad, but this is the world we live in. And this is the shit we have to deal with on a regular basis. Like, it's happening to every IP. Like, anything that gets big enough, they'll try to subvert it. Generally speaking, the IPs that are small get ignored. Like Star Wars, they hopped on that train as quickly as they could. Lord of the Rings, it was a bastion for the longest time because Tolkien's estate and his family was able to protect it for a very long time. Unfortunately, though, they smell blood in the water after his son passed away, and so now they're attempting to go at it at full force, and there's absolutely nothing people can do except complain. Like, that's the worst thing. Like, the new Tolkien movie, or Tolkien-esque TV show, and they're going to parade his name around like they always do, right? It's like LucasArts Studios, right? Or it's like, Walt Disney. Like, Disney is the name of a person that a corporation uses because it was named after him. And it's like, they just parade around the husk of that thing and all the things that that person created. You know, they're long dead. They're going to do the same with Tolkien's work.
And they already have. You bring up Tolkien, the movie. This is luckily a little known movie, launched in 2019, and it has nothing to do with the Tolkien estate, with J.R. Tolkien, with the Tolkien IP, their brand, their family. In fact, it was roundly condemned by his son as a sham. It's literally a company going like, well, it's okay when we do it, because it's a derivative work where they say like, no, we'll just take your name, and you can't sue us because it's a derivative work, don't you understand? And we talked a little bit about this last time too, but this is how copyright works in favor of the corporations. Technically speaking, there is now a corporation that has the copyright over the Tolkien name in respect to their character of Tolkien. And there was a lot of backlash about it from the Tolkien estate, but in the end, they couldn't do anything because technically speaking, that's how it works.
Yep, and it's what they're going to do anyways. It's how they get their fingers in their claws in, so to speak. There's nothing we can do about it except be loud and bitchy about it, and try to advocate other people don't buy that product so it just doesn't catch on. Like that's all we can do.
That is an effective approach too, and it is, as you say, our only actual approach. It is to be loud and insistent on the points. These write-ups that we've seen here, two of them, the Guardian one and the Paul Polygon one, both of them are trying to twist and turn the words. They're playing semantic games with all of this. For example, there's one passage where, if you're a certain kind of person, you might say that Tolkien was a Catholic, and so he would never put gays in his artwork. He never even knew what gays were. And then he goes, actually, homosexuals have existed since the 1800s. I'm like, holy shit, shut your mouth. Of course he knew what it was, but that doesn't change the fact that he's a devout Catholic. And the idea of two men buggering each other would probably have been somewhat repugnant to him. Like, and then there's like, that is not a moral judgment on modern day sexualities. That is merely the point of view of a man that we knew was a devout Catholic and how they view all of this. And also, to further point out as well here, sexuality, as I made this point before, has no place in The Lord of the Rings. None whatsoever. It is not a theme. Romance is not a theme. And in the handful of, like, literally one case where it is, with Aragorn and Arwen, it's not even a romance. It's just like, oh, these two love each other, and it's really pretty and pure. And that's it. There is no room for it. This is no Game of Thrones nonsense. Even when there are, like, Sam, who married Rose, was it? And had, like, 13 children. All of that is just described like they had a pretty wedding and then 13 children appear. That's it. There is no room for this in Tolkien's universe.
Yeah, generally. Like, there was not the purpose of the books, and it wasn't the point of the story. In fact, it completely misses the point of the story, which was more of a reflection of his actual life and his dealings with and his views on World War One. Like, that's where the influence and inspiration for a lot of it came from. It didn't come from what he wanted to fuck or whether dudes were fucking each other, because that had nothing to do with the story. But again, it's not about the story. It's not about Tolkien's work. It's about subverting something else to try to use that as a political tool, as you said before. Like, the sad thing is, Arch and I already know this, because we talk all the time outside of this and hang out regularly. Like, this is the shit they're gonna do with everything. He jokes about, like, doing that to my stuff, and it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, like, it's just something that is going to happen. And there's not... It's difficult to say. It's like, there's not an easy way to put it. Like, I wish we could make it go away. You know what I mean? Like, this kind of, what do you call it? Mentality in the industry? This kind of obsession with hijacking other people's work and then trying to profit from it and profiteer from it. I wish it was shamed more, but it's not. And we're just going to have to eat the crap they're going to try to put on the fucking table in front of us, which is going to be that goddamn TV show that I know in my bones is going to be trash. Uh,
It is because, as I've talked about in my various little gatekeeping videos too, it's because these people who have entered into the fandom here, the outsiders, anti-fans in all due reality, they have a greater goal, a greater good, and a greater agenda. They don't care about Lord of the Rings. They don't care about the fact that sexuality is not a topic in Lord of the Rings at all. They care about, well, but my modern day politics. My modern day politics are more important, and therefore it trumps this universe. That's really all it is. It's they believe they have something more important to present.
yeah. Yeah. I also get the feeling personally, this is my own opinion, that a lot of this stems from a lot of people who have no talent easily try to just hijack other people's work and try to make it their own. Like you see it all the time with other works. When they can't even get on the IP, they make like a clone of it. It's like, look at this totally not Lord of the Rings knockoff thing, you know? Or something of that nature. Because they want in on it, but they lack the creative drive to make something unique and their own, and they don't really know how to take inspiration, so they just outright plagiarize. It feels like now that they have the opportunity to actually jump on board with the actual brand on, because now that, there's nobody safeguarding the IP, and they can just be like, now I can create all my little wildest fanfics about this IP. Like, that's kind of what it feels like.
That is certainly a part of it too, and you can also see this in the confusion here. Like there is a genuine problem where they've got they can't view it as the thing it is because it's nuanced, it has depth. When you see a relationship in Tolkien between Sam and Frodo, for example, that is a relationship of two people sharing incredible hardships with one another, overcoming incredible challenges with one another, and having to rely on one another. That is a deep, intricate friendship. But in the modern day, where nobody understands any of this, and everyone just seemingly writes with their penises and their little rubber duckies and fetish gear, every relationship must become a romantic relationship. There is no friendship, there's no mutual respect, there's no common goal or purpose. Everything has to be reduced down to your penis in this. We talked a little bit about this as well, about the whole Gods and Generals movie and how we would like more romanticization of these things, more high-minded ideals, instead of dragging everything into the goddamn gutter. Because that is where it is. Sam and Frodo having a homosexual relationship is the reduction of their relationship to a purely sexual one, a lustful one. That's not what it is about. It is so much more than that.
Yeah, very much so. Like, it kind of is the problem. Like, I don't mind. This is the Puritan take, and I hesitate to say it, but it's like the idea of sex and stuff like that. I don't mind. I don't mind nudity in a fiction work of fiction. In fact, it's fine. I have not bothered in the slightest. But like, if we look at Game of Thrones, which tried to very much copy Tolkien's work and ultimately failed in the end, the one thing I found fascinating about that is the focus, the fixation on sex and the dirty things and the rotten things and trying to be gritty and nasty. And in the end, it just felt very hollow. Like it had no greater idea than, look, let's talk about this little 14-year-old's tits for fucking a few chapters, George R. R. Martin. Like, let's talk about this girl shitting herself for like a few paragraphs. Like, that's not particularly interesting. Now, maybe other people find that interesting, but I just think it's weird.
It definitely is. Part of it is the selling nature of the shock of it. Like Jaime Lannister and his sister was the first part, because you're meant to go like, oh my god, incest, oh, that's shocking and strange. And then we got used to that, and then it's like, okay, let's have them fuck on the grave of their son. People were lying like, okay. It very much so is an attempt to sell, to cause controversy, to cause an uproar over all of it. And it works too. And You could even say that, and I agree too. This has its place, absolutely. I like Game of Thrones for what it was. Screw those last few seasons, but hell, I'm a fan of 40K. I mean, grim dark universes. I love that shit. But if everything is reduced to the same thing, that's where the problem is. Like, Tolkien's universe is not that. It isn't Game of Thrones. It should not be Game of Thrones. Because, hell, Game of Thrones, you could argue, is almost like an attempt by George R. R. Martin, the man who is cake, to rebuff and rebut the Game of Thrones. Like, he's trying to be like, oh, this is how it would actually happen.
You mean Lord of the Rings, not rebuff the Game of Thrones, right?
Kyle, both the authors have RRs in their names.
I know you're getting them mixed up, but I'm just clarifying
Yes.
that because the future are like, wait.
Yes, I hate the fact that I have to think about it. Like, wait, was that
Just
George?
say, you can just call him Fatso, and you can call the other one Skinny. Like, there you go.
There you go. The man who is cake and the other person.
The Twix, the stick.
So I have arrived at the puritanical point of view now. Like, address me a few years ago, and I'd be like, no, everything used to be a bit more gritty. And now I'm just like, I'm sick of porn in everything.
It's like, let's look at these titties, and it's like, okie dokie. And it's like, what's going on in the story? It's like, shut up. There's no story. Look at tits. Oh, I'm on Pornhub now. It's like, okie doke. I don't know.
And
it's just no substance. Substance is missing, and that's what I felt like was missing from Game of Thrones. It just felt hollow. And it was very much like, what's the word? Like, plot twist for the sake of having a plot twist, shock thing happening for the sake of a shock thing happening.
The man who is cake wrote himself into a more than one corner. Jon Snow being the most obvious of all corners, where he's like, well, shit. I kind of have to kill this guy because he's literally the Mary Sue of my story. Yet I literally can't kill this guy because he's the Mary Sue of my story.
Well, he's male. That makes him a Gary Stew, actually.
Yeah, but Mary Sue's more,
I know it's more popularized because of the whole Ray situation, okay? I get it. I understand what you're saying. But yeah.
And this will continue. The Polygon articles, the Guardian articles will continue until morale improves. Simple as.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God. All you can do, you gotta point it out, you gotta yell at it, and you've gotta resist it once the TV show comes out, because you can bet your happy little bumholes that the mainstream media, they will be pushing their narrative, and they have already started pushing their narrative.
Yep. When one of them starts fucking squawking, the other ones will. Like, more articles will follow after this, and more and more and more and more until they move on to the next thing to go desiccate.
Desecrate.
Desecrate. Look. Pronunciation, you fuck it up, I fuck it up with your vehicles.
Yeah, but that's not a mispronunciation. That's a mispronunciation of the word. You use the wrong word. Desiccate is very difficult.
I just didn't enunciate the R in that pronunciation. It was very silent. It was very classy and subdued with a monocle.
Bully Kyle Morchard. he doesn't even know the word of truculent.
They're talking about my tits, which I glance over for just a second, and that's the thing I see. God damn. Okie doke. Well, we're gonna move on past that.
We're gonna move on past that. So, what another one that we do kind of have to address because it's just such a meme at this point is CD Projekt Red announcing that after 6 months, Cyberpunk 2077 is satisfactorily stable. What kind of a joke is that? Like, yes, we released it half a year ago, and it's finally arrived at the point where we would consider releasing it. God
damn. This game had so many simps for it that would just go on tirades about defending it. And all I would say is like, I didn't like it. And they'd be like, let me just go on to like paragraphs of explanations of why you did like it. And it's like, okay, okay, all right. I'm not gonna read that, but okay. I just
That's
didn't
neat
like the
though.
game.
As a game, I actually did not mind a lot of aspects of it. I thought the shooting and the hacking in combat was entirely satisfactory for a RPG shooter. Was it a good first-person shooter? No, but I don't even expect that anymore. The story, the main story was not very good, and a large part of that is very clearly because you can see where they crowbarred in whatever
Keanu
the
Reeves.
goddamn
Keanu
name.
Reeves.
Keanu Reeves, that was it is. Where they crowbarred him in and completely changed the nature of Johnny Silverhand. It's really jarring and really obvious. But some of the side stories are actually rather excellent and quite interesting. I think if the game had just been stable for most people, because I was running this on a high-end PC, so I had almost no problems. I don't think I think it crashed like once, and that's about it. So for me, it was an entirely satisfactory, quite pretty, like graphically beautiful, but kind of empty experience. Whilst for a lot of other people, it was a $60 video game that literally wouldn't boot up, and if it did, they'd be sitting there on pins and needles whilst playing it, like quick hammering the F5 key quicker than anything else, just to be like, please don't crash, please don't crash, please don't crash. Ah, it crashed.
It had some serious stability problems. I didn't have too much trouble outside the fact that like for whatever reason, my recording software looked at this game and was like, "Ugh," it would just vomit. Like I could play it fine and it didn't lag, but like capturing it and streaming it like was an awful experience.
I could capture it really easy, except for a really weird bug with the mirrors. Like, you can tell that a lot of this game was like 3 generations of technology just slapped on top of each other, one after the other, with a constantly rotating programming team that didn't really know what the previous one had done. And so the mirrors were clearly one part of like experimental tech that they'd pumped in there early on to be like, ah, we've got functioning mirrors. That's cool. And I was cool 10 years ago. Because when I was recording, everything was perfectly fine until I stepped in front of a mirror where the frame rate would drop to like 1 frame per second. And I wouldn't even see it on my end, but I could see it happening on my recording software.
Yeah.
Like the entire structure of the game just bent in on itself right there.
Oh man, it's a shame too cuz like I was like, "Oh, I kind of hope it's good." Like a part of me up to the launch, and people who know me, like I was pretty pessimistic. Everyone's like, "It's going to be great." And I'm like, there's something wrong with this game. Like you can smell it, especially when with the leaks coming out of the studio itself. That's always a bad sign, especially when it's got a lot of attention and there's people and leaks of things happening. Like generally leaks like that and on that scale are genuine, or at least some of them are. Even if you just go like, let's say 75% of them are bad or false. If 25% of that's true, that's pretty bad. It's pretty condemning. And the game did come out, and it was one of the thing is it was a disastrous game, and in terms of its launch, it was an unmitigated disaster. CDPR it fucking lost their reputation and will never recover it after this. Like they lost that golden goose standard, and now
Yes.
it's over. And that's kind of good that that happened because, to be fair, CDPR was not a perfect company, and they were never really that good. They had produced some good stuff. They had you made GOG, but they don't support GOG fully. Like the staff at GOG have already leaked information that they're under like they're not given the full amount of resources that they want. They can't even create their own workshop integration and several dozen other things. Like they kind of deserved this. They needed this to happen. And hopefully this will wake them up. Hopefully.
Hopefully. Because there was just a lot of issues. Like it was very much so a bit of a slapdash effort, and I defended it a lot of it too against because the usual crowd was out like it's transphobic. Like no, it wasn't. But I also was not on the crowd that was like, oh, we waited for so long, it has to be
Oh
good
god, yeah.
because you waiting longer more often than not means worse product,
See,
not better.
that's the problem though, because people like, let's say some SJWs, some games journos, who gives a shit about their stupid opinions, guys? Like, come on, these guys' opinions. Do you guys care about them? I don't think. I don't. You don't. None of us do. But some people, when an SJW or a games journo says that something is bad, people will just disagree for the sake of disagreeing, when there may actually be merit to it. Now, in regards to the trans thing, who fucking cares? Nobody. But the game was shit. And people defended it because of the political reasons. We're on whichever side. Like, it just doesn't matter. I don't know. I don't know what you call that. Just being combatively argumentative for no actual reason, for the sake of just merely disagreeing. There's a word
Well,
for that.
little bit of it is the tribalism involved in it, and a little bit also was the fact that it was the biggest thing that was happening at that point in time. So everybody wanted to have their say in. It's difficult to keep your head in such circumstances, and you need to be able to actually go through the situation and look at it rationally. And I was not at all surprised when Cyberpunk released, and it was not like some people thought the game to end the world. It's like, oh my god, it's going to be the greatest thing in the history of things. It wasn't. It was a decidedly kind of old schoolish, janky game in certain ways, like the boss fight design against giant Sasquatch chick dude thing was a terribly boring boss fight, which I just walked around in circles and shot it, and it's like, okay, are you gonna hit me? You got a melee weapon? No? Okay then. The Johnny Silverhand, because Chow was like, what's wrong with Johnny Silverhand? Johnny Silverhand is a character with no agency. He is a character that appears out of goddamn nowhere and it's like, where I'm gonna kill you, and then acts like an asshole, and then suddenly it's just like, actually, maybe we should work together. And this works up to a supposedly tearful ending. It's like, oh my god, I have to choose between Johnny or myself, and that does not work in a goddamn video game. The main player character has an incurable disease and is dead. It's like, okay, so what the hell am I doing? What am I doing here? Why am I playing this game if my fate has already been decided? Like, I'm just watching a movie now. And that's the thing too. This would have worked out quite well as a movie plot, but from my perspective as the player character, I'm just trapped now. Like, okay, I can't do anything. I can't change this. I can't stop it. I have 3 outcomes, and my entire world is bound by these 3 outcomes. Like, for me, that took away all of my interest in continuing to play the game, as I was just like, okay, right,
Yeah.
bored now.
The thing is, Johnny Silverhand's and the whole purpose in the story reduces the player into nothing more than just a vessel. And it focuses on the dumbest thing ever. It's like, do you choose this thing or that thing in regards to who lives? And it's like, it had, like, there was nothing, the major plot had barely anything to do with, like, the big corporation and the fact that you stole that thing and you got that thing stuck in you. And it's like, that was so stupid. It didn't even matter. Like, nothing you did actually mattered in that sense. And it didn't focus on the cyberpunk aspect either.
It's a bloody Mass Effect 3 ending. You get 3 colors, practically. Like, you choose the Japanese chick, and she puts you in a nice little hospital where you get taken care of, but you die in the end. You choose to let Johnny Silverhand take over your body, and you die in the end. Or you choose to just get the so-called good ending, and you die in the end, but you look kind of cool whilst dying. Like, all right, so nothing. There's no way out. Like, it's Johnny Silverhand's story, and you're some 2-bit side character.
Yeah, like, the game's like, look at Johnny Silverhand. This character is, like, cool and important. You're worthless. Keep doing, like, bitch-level tasks. Because it's almost like the writers know that you're just a little pathetic bitch, and you're gonna do whatever they tell them. It's very clairvoyant that way. But I don't know. It was
not
dumb.
as fond of it. And besides all of that, what we can all recognize as the intrinsic failure of the game of the decade, as it was labeled, is the fact that 6, because we can argue about the story, we can argue about the qualities of the first person shooter mechanics, the hacking, the characters, and all of that is entirely subjective. Kyle, shut your mouth. You're mispronouncing words again. Subjective.
You did.
That was not me.
Hey,
No. But the absolute undeniable truth at the end of the day is that 6 months after launch, Cyberpunk's developer says, yeah, it's actually not crashing so often now.
That's pretty bad, and that's like stability is at a satisfactory level. Like he just sounds so defeated. Like we made a thing, it was one of the worst things ever made that we've made, and we kind of want to kill ourselves. Like, yes.
I hope they they get some redemption though, because I would love to see GOG be built into more of a proper platform with mod integration like direct Steam connection integration, etc. Really branch it out, because I love the idea of GOG. Like the idea of good old games in general is a fantastic one. It needs to be a bit more.
No workshop. They have no modding workshop. That is like the big deal breaker for me. And like they need to work with Steam in order to get like better server integration so that Steam players can play with, GOG players. And even maybe they should do like some sort of like deal where the friends list is actually cross compatible.
Maybe. That would be quite lovely, at least until GOG can offer these services for themselves. And even then, the problem is, like, okay, if I have the choice between logging into Steam or GOG, well, I've always logged into Steam. I'll probably not change. But yes, that is Cyberpunk, the game that now, half a year after release, might actually be done.
It might,
quote unquote.
Well, done. It says it'll run.
Yes, that's a good distinction, Kyle. It may not be done, but at least it will run. Ah, heavens. All right, let's go through some of the super chats before we move on to our next topic of the day. Ragnar the Viking says, Bill Cosby moonwalked out of that cell, and I have never seen such a reeing in my life in such a long time. Ah, yes, I knew the Bill Cosby thing would come up, at least as a tertiary thing. And may I just say as well, right here, so no matter how you think that Bill Cosby may or may not have done it, he had a lot of accusations, like 70, so I'm kind of like, where there's that much smoke, there's probably at least an ember. But he did not receive a fair trial. He did not. That is undisputable. And practically all of the witness testimony, quote unquote, that came out against him is rumors. It's hearsay. And normally we don't humor hearsay in a court of law, but for some reason, Bill Cosby got bloody railroaded. And I like the fact that the left is like, oh my god, this black person who was clearly a victim of the system, he's the villain now. Like, huh, really? That's, well, if you say so.
Kind of weird, but all right.
Yeah, no, like I am very much so like, I don't know if he did it or not. I haven't set myself into that enough, but he did not receive a fair trial, fair trial, and it is entirely correct that he has been released. He shouldn't have been in jail to begin with, and Pennsylvania is going to write him a very large check for this, I think, if his lawyers are any good.
Yeah. Again, as whatever the result, as long as actual justice is served, that's all that really matters. But when there's an improper trial or something like that, that means, like, in my opinion, that means, like, the judge and the people that fucking did that should be under investigation. But they don't get that. They sort of get a free pass.
Mm-hmm.
You ruined somebody's life. Oh, well, accidents happen. They don't say that if you run over somebody. The accidents happen. No. Oh, that's so silly. And that's so tragic, actually.
It is. I'd also like to point out, because the chat pointed out too, he did admit that he was guilty, Not to sexually assaulting anyone, not to molesting anyone, not to raping anyone. He admitted to giving them drugs. Not as in like, I'm gonna sneak this in your drink, as in they went to his hotel room because he's a famous multimillionaire. And he's like, would you like some recreational marijuana or whatever? Like, okay. Right, slap on the finger, maybe. Fine, possibly. Jail? No.
Yeah. I don't know. The case is a mess, and I'm not gonna pretend I know shit about it, other than the fact that as long as actual justice happens, that's all that matters.
No, also the chat there. Hearsay and witness statements are not the same thing. It's a legalistic term. Hearsay is, I heard this person say this. That is not a witness statement. It is not admissible because it's not the person saying it. It's, I say, I heard someone else say. That is normally not admissible, unless it's very particular circumstances. But a witness statement, that is the person saying, I heard this. I have seen this. Now that's the difference. It's the first person and the second person or third person, apparently.
I do know one YouTuber did like a whole spiel on it. Razorfist did, if I remember right. He covers the musician stuff quite a bit, like with Michael Jackson and I think Cosby. I haven't seen it though, so I have no time to watch YouTube at the moment because I just got done doing fucking. Oops. Shouldn't say bad words. I got done doing reports actually like today, so been busy.
I'll have to give that a look then. And if there's anyone in the chat that for some reason doesn't watch Razorfist, do. Razorfist is a really cool guy. He's he's not as correct all the time as Arch is, mind you, because he got the elections terribly wrong, of course. But he's not completely terrible.
He's pretty based because he likes BattleTech.
Yes, and when it comes to the Michael, I haven't watched the Bill Cosby one, but I did watch his one on Michael Jackson, and he brought up some excellent point in his defense there. So, Ragnar the Viking again. Paradox is the only company that I let get away with such horrid DLC practices. Ah, well, there's your error right there too. Paradox's DLC practices. I'm sure we'll get into this when Victoria 2 launches, and I do intend to touch upon it a little bit in the in a video I'll do in Victoria 2. Actually, Victoria 3 launches, that is, yes. Because their DLC wasn't always as awful as it is now. Like, Victoria 2 received 2 pieces of DLC. Europe Universalis 3 received, like, I think 4 or 5 or something. That's it. Europe Universalis 4 has received 34 pieces of DLC.
Granted, I will say, because I own all of them, and I regret it, a fair few of them are just cosmetics, as well as just additional supplemental music.
Yes, but it is still 34 pieces of content that has been taken out of the game. We're like, price tag.
Yeah, there was a lot of things, like, mechanics-wise, because if you played the game on launch, you're like, I would like to play the Ming Dynasty in China. And you're like, I don't have any mechanics. I would like to play Japan. Like, I don't have any mechanics either. I would like to play as...
Would like to pay $5 to add those mechanics?
I would like to play Native American. Sit there and be like, I'm going to be colonized soon. Gonna be... Help.
Mr. Twisted Frenzy says, late hashtag blame Gibbs. Correct. He was not, in fact, 10 minutes early. And as we all know, if you're not 10 minutes early, you are 10 minutes late.
It's true. At least I made us early, chat. I could have made us late. Would you rather that? I think not. I'm not even going to let them respond to that. I'm just going to ignore them.
Good for you. Crazy Loon. To paraphrase the great Colonel Commissar Ibrahim Gaunt, the only defense against wokeism is an armor of contempt. That is correct. One must hate them because they hate you. Nicomedes for 200 Norwegian kroners, not Swedish kroners. Good, good, good. They are parasites, plain and simple. That said, replace Smug Arch with Booby Grumpy ArchCat.
Booby.
I do like the fact that ArchCat has become a thing.
I blame the RP for that. It's just been a big grumpy kitty. And Carlos gets partial credit for that because he definitely helped us crop it out and get it all set up. Along with Disco.
Yep. Though I do also like Disco's take on Grumpy ArchCat,
What's your
which
take?
let me see if I can find Grumpy Disco Cat somewhere.
Grumpy Disco Cat.
Yes, because she made it. That's why it's Grumpy Disco Cat.
Arch, what cat was me? She screams angrily. I animated
No,
Arch
no,
Cat.
wasn't that another one?
She's getting mad, chat. Run away.
I think I have two cats.
Two
I think I
cats.
have two cats. I may have more cats. Because the second cat... Ah, there it is. Yes. That is Disco Cat.
Let's pull it up on stream. 1 second, chat. 3, 2, 1. Oh my god. No. Yeah, no, wait. She
Oh my
showed that
God,
to me.
Nikki.
Never mind. I forgot about that. I think that was a few days ago we were talking about that. She's like, I made this and I'm proud of it. I'm like, okie dokie.
She is proud of it.
A little bit
She
of
feels
Photoshop.
that is the height of her artistic performance right there. And it certainly is something. She also made a highly anti-Semitic caricature of me as well, I'd point out, but I can't show
Rascus.
that because it's practically a hate crime what she did right there.
Not surprised. You don't know the real disco guys. Outside of like streams, disco's just like N-word this, N-word that. We're just like, disco, please.
A true hate
Be
criminal.
nice. And she's like, I hate them FNNs.
Now, my artistic creations are far better.
Oh my god, you made that, didn't you? That's like literally
I
your
did.
level of Photoshop.
Yes, and
Yes.
it's beautiful. It's fantastic. It's so good. Like, that is art. Like, that needs to be in the Louvre next to the Mona Lisa right there. It's so good. Oh, it's beautiful.
He's still 4.
Nuke.
He's still...
Nuke Assassin 4 for $100. Oh, my. Thank you very much, my dude. That's a lot of money. Thank you. For the cause, may the Emperor continue to bless your efforts. Hopefully that will be true. Now we have a new battle animal too. And don't worry, chat, it's not a hate crime. It's not actually vomiting the pride flag. That's just how the Japanese show vomit, and I have been influenced by their culture. It's fine.
Oh yeah, fat line. That's what that reminded me of. I was like, something fat.
Chunky lion. He's not chunky enough to be chunky lion, though.
We let fat line. He's somewhere still on the Eastern Front, terrorizing Soviet troops.
Yes, yes he is. Maybe one day when we resume the Vampire RP, long after the passing of the Master Lich, Chunky Lion will make a return.
Or just like, I'm scared, guys. I'm scared. We can't. Oh my god, you haven't saved. So, dude, look at him. He's just like, Bert.
Chunky Lion is good lion, though.
He's
That
just
is
a blob. He's.
My belly hurts. Rubs against the ground. No.
It's got a little reach. Oh no, poor kitty. Now that's funny.
That is funny. Stefan Knizek. I know I'm probably late for the Gygax Sun segment, but I, for one, am looking forward to TSR upcoming book. Guess the Gygax name isn't as united as the Tolkien family. Well, it is and it isn't, and that provides us with the perfect opportunity to talk a little about the TSR games and the Gary Gygax or Ernie Gygax thing, doesn't it? I need to go through the Streamlabs one too afterwards. I need to remember that. Right, so what has happened here is a little bit of a complicated series of events, to put it somewhat mildly. So, TSR is the original company that created Dungeons and Dragons and was bought up by the Wizards of the Coast, which Ernie Gygax claims they were complete asshats about it and they acted like corporate raiders. That was his words. And they have been now recreated. I think there's like 3 companies that calls themselves TSR with like different add-ons like TSR Games or TSR Gaming and so on nonsense. TSR Games Elliot and TSR Games on NASA, apparently. Because a lot of people are like, no. We want to claim this original brand, which is well known in the geekdom community. But TSR this is the right, so TSR Games, that's not TSR. That is not Ernie Gygax's company. This is okay. Let me just do it like Ernie Gygax is the son of Gary Gygax, the creator. He has a company that's called TSR, and he has launched it, and he went on a bit of a marketing spree. And one of those was on a little YouTube channel where he said racist, transphobic, discriminatory things, such as, I want to create RPG games for the good old days when there was only 2 genders. No one can speak because of the sheer criminality of that.
How dare you, Arch? Don't you know that
statement.
gender's a spectrum now? It's limitless potential genders. It's not a thing of biology. It's a social construct. There's not just a binary system for a biological purpose, you absolute monkey.
There are nigh infinite agendas, and the racist, sexist, transphobe Ernie Gygax does not recognize this, and he even seems to suggest that maybe things were better before.
What? Better? I love cancel culture. It's great. When you're not the one getting canceled, sure.
And this caused a bit of a furor amongst the usual groups that then began writing circle-jerky articles on it. All of them, of course, being like, oh, anti-trace racist. And for a while, TSR Games actually had a little bit of backbone, stood up to this on Twitter and went like, no, screw you. We don't care.
Yeah,
None of this is important to us.
Didn't we? It was like a couple weeks ago, wasn't it? Yeah, I thought so.
Unfortunately, TSR Games has now fired the Twitter spokesperson that pushed back on it, so it'll now be interesting to see whether or not they decide to bend over and beg for the penis to come up their little bum-bums.
That's okay. The more of these... See, everyone's always like, oh no, they're killing my favorite IP, and I'm like, ha ha ha! That means there's less competition for people who want to make their own IPs. There's so much profit to be had now. It's not even funny. All somebody has to do is just rise up and capitalize on it.
The problem is, of course, that this shows just how petty this can be.
Oh God, yeah.
And it's dangerous too, because these people can mobilize a considerable amount of people. I also made a video comparing the situation between Factorio to Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah.
Because it's very interesting how Factorio absolutely just stomped that shit out without mercy. They responded immediately and thoroughly as well. It's like, no, screw you. Screw you. Screw all of you. We don't care. We don't care about cancel culture. I'm not going to look into this guy's background. Go the hell away. And it was such a firm refusal that no one in the mainstream even dared touch this, because they were like, well, shit, this guy knows what shit we're up to, and he's just going to shout us down, and it's just going to be positive PR for them. And that's what it turned into. FNAF and TSR, unfortunately, are heading in the opposite direction, where they are accepting some of their ideas. They're essentially being, oh, no, we're not transphobic. We have a diverse group of people working at our studio. That is you sending up I'm a target signals. Like, that means you can be hurt. That means they can accuse you of this shit, and you will actually feel insulted. They'll call you a transphobe, and you're like, but I'm not that. And you'll want to defend yourself. And by in so doing, you will have to accede to some of their principles. You'll have to be like, okay, the transgender is a thing. That's the thing. We respect it. Okay. That's all it takes. You've now You've now created another cycle of articles going like, well-known transphobe and racist Ernie Gygax said that transphobia isn't real. How dare he? It has to be met with a firm and immediate go screw yourself. Otherwise, it'll just keep rolling.
And rolling and rolling and rolling. See, the thing is, when you make a mistake, you should fix it and own up to it. But when you make a mistake, or a mistake in these people's eyes, don't. Because obviously at that point, you're probably doing something right instead of something wrong.
What they should have done is, instead of trying to explain himself, because that's another thing he did too. Ernie tried to explain himself, and he was like, these people are not persecuted at all. I was persecuted as a child, as a young geek. I was bullied for my hobbies. And he wrote something very stupid as well. It's like, I dreamt of taking a Thompson to school. Like, okay, right. That's another series of articles right there. Like, Ernie Gygax said he'd shoot everyone in his school. Like, he didn't, but that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter now. All he should have done is should put it in his goddamn Twitter bio for the company. Old school RPG for back in the day when there's only two genders. Meme it, ride it, ridicule it. That is your only option. Anything else is going to be a horrible, horrible surrender.
Yep, never kowtow to culture. Or what? Go ahead.
There you go.
I don't know if I want to look at that.
I don't know either.
The thing is, never mind. You know what?
I had to search Fat Line, and I have discovered quite the fetish field there, apparently.
There you go, Chad. Embrace the beautifulness.
Never search anything on the internet and keep scrolling. Look at the topmost results and then leave, because everything thereafter is probably somebody's fetish. Just to point that out.
Beautiful.
Yes, that was a slight deviation from the topic at hand. But yes, TSR Games needs to not apologize. The firing of this person, okay, like he, her, whatever the hell, we don't know. They handled it a little poorly because they were a little bit too openly rude about it instead of just being like, yeah, no, shut up. They should have just shut it down and memed it. Hopefully the next person will do that. Hopefully the marching orders from the boss will be just, no, shut all of this down. If they try to talk to you about it, meme it up, yell at them, get it over with. Because that is the only way this will end. If, however, he now comes out with an apology, like, I'm so sorry, I never meant to offend anyone, I would never. It's the same as the Scott Cawthorn guy. It'll just bury you deeper.
Yep. He made the wrong decision. He pussied out when he should have doubled down. And that was his mistake.
Very much so. Now, in the case of Scott Cawthorn too, though, there is certainly indications that he just wanted to retire, and that's fair enough, but Gygax needs to be tougher than that.
Yes. Very
now,
much.
Chat, are you ready for more inflation furries, or should we go on to another topic?
They can donate for Arch to make me remove it. $1 billion, please.
I can't help but notice the fact that Kyle's very hesitant to remove it too. It's like, no, actually, it's growing on me.
See, I don't have to look at it. I can just close my eyes.
You just close your eyes. Like, I'm just going to sit here blind now. Very well, then. We should talk about a couple of the other wrap-up topics, too.
But before we move on from Fat Lions, somebody in chat wanted me to share this with you because he made a little meme for you. It's a very simple meme. It's a very honest meme, and it's true. After literally every day we do stuff, Arch does weird pastry rituals. He's a pastry boy at heart. I knew you'd like that.
The proud hunter on the savannah, looking out as his next prey, yes.
There be pastries.
And hey, chat, it's not inflation line, so you should be grateful.
I can bring back Nala and Simba, but a little bit rounder.
What it needs is the mouth should be a little bit more open, so that it just kind of looks like he's like, oh, must have.
Just
I do like how
drooling.
fucking massive his cankles are, though. They don't look like they can support his weight anymore. It's like,
Like
my,
when he
my
moves,
boys hurt.
he like wobbles forward.
Like he moves 5 feet, then rolls over onto his side to rest his little paws. And I was like, ah, hurts. But nobody in the jungle dares pick a fight with him because he's that fat. They just assume he's eaten all of his competitors. Like,
Don't worry about
think about it logically, Kyle. To be a lion that fat, you have to be a bloody successful lion. Like, you have to be like
That's
the
too
Bill
much
Gates
success,
of
though.
lions.
Think about it. Because now he's too fat. He's not going to catch any prey. Think,
That's
chunky
what
lion.
his bitches
Think.
are for. That's what the bitches are for.
That's true. Male lions can
Lion
be
don't hunt.
remarkably like, meh, feed me.
Put meat in my tum-tum, submissive women. Maybe I shall have sex with you later. Like, no, you now bite Nibbles and
Yeah, you
bite
read that too.
gorgeous
I was
nuts.
going to mention. They bite
Like, ow.
the balls of the male lion when they're dissatisfied. They're like, more.
But considering how massive his ass cheeks are, maybe that's another defensive measure where it's like, you can't get to them.
Sadly, I can see them.
Ah, too bad.
Big brown.
Of course, Kyle zoomed in on the balls. Like, oh, look at those.
I was looking at the calves, okay?
Lying whore.
Dang. Little gay.
All right. So, a couple more little things we want to talk about, then we'll get over the rest of the super chats. So, there's the Steam summer sales, and Kyle starts, this is relevant. No, Kyle. This is relevant. No,
It
Kyle.
is relevant, and you know it, you fucking monkey.
It isn't. But Barotrauma is on sale for $12, and it is a really fun game that we would absolutely recommend you pick up. It got Steam Workshop support. It's a little patchy at the moment, where they're occasionally like, we would like to break all of your mods, please. And I also say it is not a game you play by yourself. If you do not have friends, do not play Barotrauma. And if you do play Barotrauma with friends, prepare to have less friends. So, go in with a surplus.
Yes. Communication is the most important lesson of the day when it comes to playing Barotrauma. It is very much a game where you have to coordinate with your friends, and you need to be willing to communicate, or otherwise there will be definitely problems down the line.
But it also shows this awesome, cool thing that there isn't enough of. Like, it started with Star Trek Bridge Crew a while ago, where it was like, oh, this is kind of fun, like role-playing this whole thing, and where you have to be multiple people to run a thing. And it evolved a little bit, and Barotrauma is probably one of the most interesting evolutions of the idea of running like a ship, or in this case, a submarine, because there's so many things to do, and they're very distinct. Like, the medic does medic stuff because he's the only one who knows how to do the goddamn medic stuff, and he's the only one who has the skill for it, etc. It really creates a very cool and interesting dynamic, and it also has this really haunting, dark, and creepy atmosphere that I really like. It's a good game.
It is. It's very dark and spoopy. And we need to get out of the kiddie pool in our series. You're going to probably start seeing the... on this channel, Discordia has been working on the... what do you call it? The edit.
Unfortunately, though, Kyle, we're gonna have to restart the series because I have anime mods now.
Discordia has ruined the day. She sent Arch this morning some weeby shit, and Arch is like, oh, but I want anime titties now on the submarine. Because of course, and you know what? I'm not opposed to putting big, giant anime titties on the ship. Listen? Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But
it's gonna have to be yet another restart, but such is life. Such is life, Kyle. You know one feature that I really do miss? The ability to tell Steam to not goddamn update a game.
Very much.
That was a good feature.
Discordia will be
That was a very
punished
good-
later for her sins.
She also sent me the mod which can add in like cybernetic upgrades and like advanced surgery. That'd be fun because then I could knock you out, and when you wake up, I'll have sutured an arm to your ass, and then you'd be like, I can wipe my ass now and read my book at the same time. Thank you.
But why?
Say thank you. Another less good thing. Okay, so Total War, the series, right?
Oh boy.
Ogre Mercenaries, right? It's available only if you signed up to their cancerous little newspaper piece of shit. So it's basically just like, use our website, please. Nobody ever does because it's terrible. But Mercenaries, an actual mercenary mechanic after like 3 or 4 years, and it's DLC practically, and it's paid DLC. Well, not the ogre thing, but the Silence and the Fury. What was it? Is paid DLC in Total War Warhammer 2, a game that is about to stop its support because Total War Warhammer 3 is coming out. The standalone glorified expansion for another $60. I am getting really sick of Creative Assembly dumping support for their games and being like, no, next game now, buy it full price, rebuy the DLC.
Yeah, that's super dumb. There's so many problems with Total War Warhammer. It's not like just talking about the DLC alone. Like, okay, you want to play the Beastmen, you need to buy Total War Warhammer 1. You also need to buy Total War Warhammer 2 to get the DLC for the rest of the race. Like, they lied. Those little fucking shits lied, and people eat this shit up all the time. You have to do all of that. Like, fuck me. Okay, you want to play with Beastmen and Total War Warhammer 3? You need to buy, obviously, Total War Warhammer 3. You need to buy Total War Warhammer 1 to unlock the Beastmen. And then you need to buy Total Warhammer 2 to unlock the rest of the roster.
And I'll also point out, when they announced the Chaos Army list, I was like, why is there no Jabberslith? Like, this is going to be DLC, isn't it? And it wasn't DLC in the first round. It is DLC now. Arch was goddamn right again. It was a DLC unit. And I remind you again, this is after the fact that they promised to never do DLC units, like years ago.
That was during the Empire Napoleon debacle, where if you went, I don't know about the rest of the world, but for me, when I was a little kid, I was like, oh, I went to, I think, Target to get Napoleon Total War, and then I got like a special unit. But there's more special units if you bought it from Best Buy or different like stores. And I was like, what? That was also a fad with not just that, but other games. This, you buy from this store, you get this DLC code. It's like, okay, so if you want all of the things that are already in the game, you can also then just choose to elect to buy them as DLC. It's like, so these things were long done before launch. You broke them up into several dozen pieces, scattered them across the winds into different stores, and then you fucking like, oh, don't worry, you can still buy them. it's like these are cut units from a faction. You know what they should be doing? These should be free updates. Every time there's an update to the game, if they had a fucking soul, they'd be like, okay, we're doing this new lord, but we're also giving, a free update, and the free update contains more units for that faction's roster. That would be the ethical approach. However, Creative Assembly is not an ethical company when it comes to their development practices. $60 is already a ridiculous amount of money to charge for in the modern era. Like, it is very much a lie within the industry, and a lie that has been propagated because greed, that they need to charge $60. There's no need to set up manufacturing lines for physical copies. They don't need to produce books. They don't need to have them assembled, packaged, and shipped. That doesn't exist anymore. It's just digital redistribution across different platforms. $60 is a scam. And
nobody's making their own engines anymore either. That's something that people keep forgetting. The development cost of games has gone down a lot compared to when a game was something you built from the absolute bottom up.
You joke, but there are actually still studios with souls. Factorio devs being one.
Yep. Some.
I
also want to point out,
exist.
Remember, the blood pack for Total War Warhammer 1 does not apply to Total War Warhammer 2. So you
Nope.
gotta buy the blood pack twice.
Also, their excuse is actually a pile of crap. The whole thing about blood being the thing, that reason why they do the DLC thing is why they make it a DLC to prevent it from going up in ratings. They could still make it technically a free DLC, but require you to have a Steam account of 18 years of age.
Ah, it's annoying.
And it's lazy too. It's just a flat texture that's applied. Like when your character models get blood on their face, do you remember in Total Warhammer? It's just the blood's texture smeared across their face. Like they don't have actual unique blood splatters for the face model part of the model because it's just a flat texture. It's the cheapest, laziest thing ever, and people gobble it up at a ridiculously overpriced $3 when it should be they should pay you to put that crappy blood paint on your fucking character.
And at least in the older Total War games, the blood packs had a point in that they were kill syncs. They were kill animations. Now, it's just puffs of red popping up occasionally here and there, like, blep, 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 blep.
My spearman thrusts random direction to the left of that orc. The orc's arm falls off on his left arm. It's like, okay. Right.
That's how that works, I guess.
I'm sure that spear thrust was very good to sever that arm.
A fine blow, well struck.
Indeed.
Now then, let's get through some of the super chats, starting with the Streamlab ones before Glowy yells at me. Yes, right, but Streamlabs. God damn it. Oh, Streamlabs, have you done the thing again? Kyle, help.
I can't help you, Arch. It's not my stream, it's your stream. Granted, I am streaming for you because you can't stream.
There you go.
Okay, you got it.
Glowy says, people say people who are colorblind are bad. Wow, that's ableist. People are born not being able to see color. They are people too. Belittling colorblind people is literal bigotry and make those people worse than Hitler. I do enjoy the fact that colorblindness is racism now. That is good. That is good. That is an advancement in our society.
It's like, I look past color. I look at the merits of the individual in question. It's like, bigot.
You're racist.
Like, okay, so you only see people by their race? He's like, yes. It's like,
again, I cannot believe we are officially in the day where Cartoon
sure?
Network is like, race is important. All right, Cartoon Company, go away now. Shoot.
You make children's cartoons. Shut the fuck up. No one cares what you have to say.
Glowy also says, I half believe the reason these people are going after LOTR now is because a few years ago, right-leaning used it to make jokes about orcs are just misunderstood and other SJW political points. Yes, but you see, it was a meme back then. It's reality now.
Mm-hmm.
The chat also asks if I heard about CA removing chat in lobbies and region-locked global in Shogun 2. I did hear about that.
Yeah,
it was supposed to be temporary.
Real. Why? What was the excuse?
I don't know. Like, they were just like, it's temporary things. I'm like, okay. Like, maybe it's temporary. We'll see. I know they've been simping hard for China recently, so I'm kind of like waiting to see if they're going to make it just be like, no, we're going to shut it down now.
What? Why? I don't see how simping for China would affect this product in particular.
You're not allowed to have chats in games that you're going to be selling in China.
Oh my god, that's right. Because they'll otherwise know.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, because that's communication that they can't monitor. And Carl's just like, God, the world is a sad place. Yes. But like 1917, hail ArchChrist, our Lord and Savior, breed Kibbs. You know, when people are making a movie about my life and you're a 2-bit side character, Kyle,
fuck you.
There'll be SJWs writing articles like, Kibbs was actually Arch's secret gimp boy. And
they
like,
were
yes,
secret
he was.
lovers and they did the naughty deeds under the sheets. I mean, I've already been sent a fanfic about that.
There you go.
That has happened. Though granted, that happened
I will
a while
say
ago.
That I will officially endorse that. I'll be like, yes, he was always a sub.
God damn.
Meanwhile, Kyle will be sitting in a different old people's home like, bitch.
My legacy. Died. Now everyone's like, gay.
Every birthday, I send a Disney figure to Kyle's old people's house who dances.
That'd be weird. I'm not gonna die in an old person home. I'm gonna die in my own home, God damn it.
Covered in shit, eaten by your cat. Food.
I'd rather it be that way than die fucking in an old folks home. Jesus Christ, no.
Old folks' homes are kind of horrible.
It's where people go to die. No, I'm dying in the comfort of my home.
Kaylin Murphy. Arch, what's your thoughts on Steam, a game called Warhammer 40k Mechanicus? Everybody asks me that. I have no opinions.
You do
None.
have an opinion, though, and I know the secrets. Kibbs knows things, chat. Kibbs knows everything. Kibbs knows
He doesn't.
all the things you don't know about that goes on behind the scenes. Things even Kibbs shouldn't know about knows about. I know more than I should.
Shouldn't knows about.
Shut up, you. This isn't about you anymore. This is my story. But it's about me, though.
It's not a side character.
Now, listen, I do have an opinion on that game. The devs are assholes. And it's kind of shit, honestly. People say, like, the music's good, and I'm like, so-so. I listened to the track because people recommended it. But the devs are douchebags. And if I had to wager a guess, SJW. Just saying. Don't know why, but I just have it on good suspicion.
There is Kyle's opinion. Boag donates a taco to say, please use that cat as avatar from now on. No, Boag. Bad. Down. Bad. No more enchiladas for you. Twisted Frenzy. Did Disco draw ArchCat eating sausage? No, that is a tentacle. Because
Sausage.
Disco is deep into tentacles.
Uh-oh. It's just like the Minotaur Disco. She's like, Disco, we'll kill you later.
I don't know why, but she does like that for some reason.
One of these days, Disco's gonna have a meltdown. And you know, it's not me that she'll kill. It'll be you. Or maybe it'll be me after you, considering the things you do.
I think it'll be you.
I've seen what you do during Steel Division, and we'll see some more of that later. She's like, lies! Absolute lies!
Asmagon says, Archie beat a lion, but Kibsy beat a king rat. Yes, he's a filthy mouse.
But I'm
He
a
is
king
prey.
rat. People keep saying I have mouse ears. I don't even know what that means. Are mouse ears better than rat ears? Is this
Then
an
Disco
upgrade?
confirms it too in the chat. But you just sent me the cat. I made it the ArchCat. Yes, she added the tentacles in the hair. Like creepy.
See, they said it right there. Mouse ears. I bet mouse ears are genetically superior to rat ears.
As the chat leaps at it. So it's true. Yes, it's true, chat.
So it's true.
Asmagan says remove it in response probably to the
yes, I
the
know.
Lion King thing.
I have it on tab though. If chat gets salty, I can bring it back.
Oh, Kyle, you and your horrible fetishes.
Am I the only
He's
blank
like, I
person?
have it on tab. I've saved it.
Me says, what a great name, by the way. Am I the only blank person that watches your content? Am I the only black person that watches your content? You are not the only one. I actually met several dozen of them.
Several dozen of them.
Yeah, no, actually, because they like I talked to. Listen, I actually talk to people. Arch is like, eee. To be fair, I understand. When they fangasm all over you, it's quite the bukkake. But there are actually
Bukkake.
others. And I've met them. They're actually pretty good people.
See, you mispronounced that too. It's not bukkake.
Oh my god,
It's
for fuck's sake.
It's bukkake. Bukkake. Because it's literally the word to throw and cover someone in.
Water or something.
Well, no, not water. Glowy says, these intersectionists are just the seagulls from Finding Nemo. See thing? Mine, chorus of mine, begins. You're not far off. It does seem to be their thing. Boa donates another couple of tacos. A weekly weeb manga recommendation, Radiation House. It's a hospital drama with the main character being a more autistic, spastic version of House with a Japanese twist. So he's a shooter then. I mean, that could be fun enough, I guess. What is Kyle's opinion on shooter, you may ask?
Disgusting.
Enshrined. Oh, it's a live action TV show too. Now that creeps me out mildly.
Hold on, I'm trying to dunk on people who like Fox girls. This requires a lot of focus and concentration.
Actually, Fox girls are pretty great.
They'll shit everywhere because foxes they're not potty trained. They'll poop all over. Your fox girl, you're into scat. I knew it.
Sure, but I think the
Sure.
Fox girl, like the girl part, is the differential here. Like, I'm pretty sure girls can be potty trained. I'm fairly certain.
See, cat girls are superior because they don't have rights.
I don't think Fox girls will have rights either.
They might, though. Foxes are very
don't think so.
human-esque in appearance. Like,
And I am of the opinion that women are not so inferior that they can't be taught how a toilet functions. Although on occasion, I am brought to question this hypothesis when they look at the little toilet seat ring and they go, how do I lower this without smashing the toilet? And Kyle's just like, I never took it up. I'm like, Kyle, you're a woman. Shut
Hold
up.
on, I'm trying to pot stir in chat. It's working.
He is a woman. Victor Salazar. Are there any Imperial Guard regiments or Space Marine chapters that are based off Native American cultures? Just curious, by the way. Native American culture, Imperial Guard. See, I think there was one, but I can't bloody remember. It wasn't the Talaran Desert Raiders, because they're like more Middle Eastern Arabian.
Yeah.
Actually, no, it's the Valhallans, because you just said like native cultures. Well, the Norwegians are natives to Norway, so Valhallan regiments it is.
Norwegans.
Norwegians, yes.
See, we call them Norwegans. We also call them Snorwegians, because you sleep a lot. You sleep at weird times.
I feel like I'm almost sure I saw like a Native American inspired IG character in a White Dwarf sometime, but I can't remember like the name. I just have this mental image of it in my head. I'm like, was that real, or is that my brain going like, oh yes, totally, make this up?
They're getting clever, chant. Oh, wait, I didn't want to tell chat that. Chat, shut up.
Glow in the dark. TSRAK equal TSR Arch and Kibs jump on bandwagon now. TSR Arch and Kibs jump on. No, glow in the dark. Bad. Very bad. Critical Orc. Swords that glow blue are racially profiling orcs. Middle-earth was built on systematic racism against orcs and stealing land from indigenous goblins. Those who say otherwise are part of an alt-elf disinformation campaign or a Numenorian supremacist. I mean, you're not wrong. Like, literally, the elves racially profile the orcs via glowing sticks. This is correct. And they are like, kill them on sight. There's no mercy for black people in Middle-earth. None.
Oof. But orcs aren't black people, they're just dead elves.
Aren't they, though?
Sort of. They're not really dead. Well, see, I said that,
Well,
and then our resident fucking Tolkien nut was like, actually, and I'm like, oh my god, here we go again. Whatever.
Actually.
Whatever.
Lutz was his name. He was
Lutz.
the hero who killed Boromir. Lutz.
It was like, damn, those are some
Lutz.
big fucking bolt arrows, though. Like, those were thick.
Now the question is, what does the blade react to? Is it the melanin? Because if it is the melanin, then they're really racist.
It's evil. They say it's evil. God damn it.
Okay, so the biological element of evil. Which organ is that, Kyle? Where's the evil organ?
It's not an organ. It's the soul, Arch. The soul.
Bullshit. Hey, the soul.
It's a fantasy universe. Fuck, I don't know. It's magic. It just works.
It's not magic.
Fuck you.
It needs to be rationalized.
You're trying to rationalize a fictitious magical item that I'm sure actually does have an explanation as to how it works. Even I wouldn't even be surprised.
Official Tolkien canon right now, it is because of the melanin.
I do like that T-Wolf. He says the Lurtz hand ballista. That was fucking like those arrows. I remember seeing that scene. That was actually one of the first scenes I saw of Lord of the Rings as a kid. It was on TV, and I was like, Those are big. Like, those are sticking out of, like, Boromir's chest. I don't know he's Boromir at the time. I was like, that's big. Those are big. I was like, oh, look, another sweaty dude with long hair. And he's like, it's me, Aragorn, Herkadurka. You're dead. You're dead.
He wasn't sweaty, he was just wet. There's a difference.
And then I finally saw Lord of the Rings. Oh my god, it was so good.
Black 1917 says, more genders means more oppression.
That's true, actually.
Gender wars. Begun they have. Dean Goldstar, hello from Denmark. You're the reason why the Norwegians getting all of the oil is a fair trade. Keep up the amazing world. Would, and of course, breed kibs. Thank you very much. I'll forgive the fact that you're Danish.
Oof.
Denmark is basically Norway's vacation colony. We go there for cheap alcohol.
I remember a long time ago, somebody joined the Discord server and he's like, I'm from Denmark. I'm like, don't tell Arch that. And he's like, why? Because I'm like, if you have to ask why, I can't help you.
You're beyond saving.
He said, I don't understand. I'm just a Dane. Poor lad.
Stephen Knizek, Ernie Gygax's pronouns should have been chaotic neutral. Also, Kibbs, when will your game reach the shop out and take my money stage? Last time I heard, it was in pre-alpha. It's basically just a dreamy stain on Kyle's pillow.
Are you talking about my game?
Yeah.
A dreamy stain. It's actually playable.
I don't know about that.
It's actually playable. In the loosest word of that.
I don't know about that.
Disco and Tyler are doing a great job coding it. Mini head pats.
Disco's way too busy making tentacles.
I don't believe that. For once, I will take
that.
the Disco side, because she is an expert coder.
Nick Madders, FNAF did not move me as they rolled over. Factorio, well, the Factorio must grow. Also, Disco deserves all the head pats. Another simp.
To be fair, she actually does. She actually helped me out today. So today, you'll notice here that the chat is working. And Discordy and I were... Like, I woke up and she's like, you got a minute? And I'm like, I'm working, woman. And she's like, I want the chat working. I'm like, fine. You know, how women can be. So we fucking set it up and it's running. She even helped me fix the other chat on mine because I accidentally borked it while trying to get yours to work. And she went the extra mile. And once we got Kase and Fuzzy's artwork for the stream later today after this, she helped me set those up. So they should work.
Disco is a good person, relatively speaking.
Relative. She actually
relative.
A bit of an overachiever. I think she should be punished for it. What? But I helped. So it's like, yep, you did too. If you helped a little bit less, you would have been rewarded. You would have. Well, I think she's too busy playing Barotrauma right now. I don't see her in chat. She hasn't taken the bait.
Soon. Asmagan, that was a remove it. Yes, that's chunky lines. A student of history, it's GD simple. Do not show fear in the face of your enemy. If you follow that principle, you win, period. It is certainly a good start. I do want to point out that Fuzzybeard is using your icon as his profile icon on Discord now, and I basically consider that to be a tramp stamp at this point, but...
Uh-oh, there she is. She wants to be... Disco does need all the head pats. Yes, chat. Give her a fucking bald spot. I'm sure she'll love that. Be like, my head got bald because they all patted. It's like, damn.
Right. Are you suggesting that they should surround Disco and... cover her in...
Don't take my words. Disco, if you're going to be mad at him. Be mad at him. Kip did nothing wrong.
Cover in. Stephen Knizek, Creative Assembly could hide their DLC in an ultra-rare loot box. They should. Why not? Why not loot boxes? There's no argument against it.
It's true. It's true.
Glowy, we need to stop making jokes about SJW Lord of the Rings. We are giving them ideas. Oh, they've already developed them. It's fine. They're far ahead of us. Swift Nation, dearest Overlord Arch, I bought 4 copies of Factorio because of the scandal. Amazing game, Breed Kibbs. Very good. You have done your part, and you will be awarded citizenship in the future Republic. Mind you, I'll call it a republic, but it'll be more like a dictatorship. But it's fine.
Wow. Rude. Unbased. Unbased.
Actually, dictatorships are incredibly based.
I was like, I think republics are good. And I was surprised when a bunch of people were like, actually, monarchies are better. And I was surprised when it was Arch who was the one who said that. He's like, kings and shit. And it's like, damn, letting the king fuck your wife. That explains why you're into NTR, Arch, doesn't it? He's like, no.
Like, comparatively, your little silly republic is already on the edge of collapse after, what, like a couple hundred years? That's fucking pathetic.
Ours is only just beginning. Just like the Roman Republic, we will then convert into an empire. We'll be like,
yes. That's much better.
Converted to...
Actually, we had a look at that whole dictatorial fascism thing, and we decided
actually the Roman Empire still had a republic for a very long time. Or it's like, it didn't have any... Shut up, Art.
Well, it only got like 2 emperors, and then you've got Caligula, so I mean, good luck with that. Abdi Muhammad, Gib Wrench or this channel Racismus? No, you're not the correct kind of black, I'm afraid. We're past the Islamophobia thing, now it's actual black, so too bad for you. Islamophobia is fine now. Kaylin Murphy, any Warhammer 40k games on Steam you'd recommend? Honestly, Dawn of War 2. Like, for the campaign, it's really good. Don't try to play the multiplayer. It's chock full of very try-hardy little shits at this point, but oh well. That is just life. What else?
We missed an
It's been a bit of a dearth of good ones again recently. It really has. Don't play Dawn of War 3, that's for damn sure.
Arch wants to play Dawn of War 3. Also, I want to point out that Arch owes me. Because I postponed my 4th of July special stream that I do all the time. So we can do the RP again. So we'll have to do something with fireworks. Arch, I need you to Deus Ex fucking some fireworks into the campaign.
No.
Do it.
No.
Do it.
No.
Do it.
No.
If I nag him enough, he'll eventually either A, break, B, go eat a pastry.
I knew.
B, you would never. It's true.
Holy mother of God. Like,
but
I would recommend Warhammer 40k Gladius, because I just looked that up, because I was looking through the list, and I was like, Gladius is pretty fun. Then I'm seeing, like, friends who played recently, Saga of a Cat, 695 hours in, like, Shargon. My man, I do it.
He does enjoy it, apparently. That's good, though. That's good. That means that it's a very approachable game for people of low, the gaming skill.
Also, I'll play that with him this coming Thursday. That'll be fun. Sargon's a good boy. Sargon's a very good boy. Better boy than Kyle. Glowing, Kyle, how many DLC will your game have? I'm thinking a DLC per main character or faction. Learn from a creative assembly. Yeah, Kyle. Learn.
No DLC.
That's incorrect. It's the wrong answer.
Sorry. But that's the design doc.
Sent Dom, off-topic question, but is the Skaven RPG the 2nd edition Warhammer Fantasy roleplay? Thinking of running my own because Skaven and have the books for it. Also, Sausage, MVP, and Breed Kids. Yes, it is the 2nd edition. I like that one. The 3rd edition has some cool stuff in it, but meh.
Which edition? 2nd? Is the one that's the one we're playing, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the one that Arch basically changed a lot of the rules on, because like the health thing is very much in our favor. I actually looked that up. Being injured, we'd be injured for like months.
Yeah,
that's not fun. And considering how Arch runs his campaigns, he likes his combat, and he likes
Arch combat.
Arch loves to stack, like, how... Because Arch is this kind of GM. Because I've played so many fucking campaigns with him by now. And I've learned. He likes it to be so just difficult enough that you could just barely squeak by. And he's got a really good way of doing that. And that's why he always, like, changes the health rules and how health works. Because he loves his, oh my god, that's a lot of enemies encounters.
It's balanced combat. If you survive, that means the combat encounter was balanced.
If we survive. barely. I think the toughest encounter
It was perfectly balanced.
I think we ever had was it was that one. It was this village defense in Lurking Hunger Season 1. There's never been an encounter as fucking ridiculously insane as that, where they just kept coming. They just kept pouring through the gap in the wall. And no matter how many we gunned down, they just kept coming wave after wave after wave after wave.
That was fun, though.
To the point where they didn't stop coming. That's how I ended up in a wheelbarrow being dragged back to the fucking, like, trucks that were leaving. Because they didn't stop coming and they don't stop coming. That was
how it was supposed to
That
be.
was one of the hardest encounters I've ever been in my entire life. And that was an arch encounter. So it doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
And Kyle's an expert on getting hard encountered.
That's true. My legs were so breaky back then.
Black 1917 says, the sword reacts to the corrupting power in all orcs, which created them regardless of age, color, or gender. If there are genders, and not just all genderless. So you're saying, it reacts to melanin. That's my story now. And I'm sticking with it. Elves are racist, Kyle.
Elves are racist? Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
Crazy Loon says, long live the monarchy.
Not for long. Soon you'll be a communist republic. Republic being the loose word there. Yes. Now that's funny.
The wall. An elf propaganda and a racism ask, where or who are the dark-skinned elves? They are the goblins, the orcs, the Balrog did nothing wrong. It just helped downtrodden people get back to stolen home. Elves. Racist. Don't like melanin. Condemn them.
People want Season 1 of Lurking Hunger unlocked.
No.
Tell you what, chat.
It's fine.
I'll do better than that. I've already begun the process of slowly fucking manipulating things to make sure Lurking Hunger gets a reboot. Will I get any fucking thanks for this?
Also, may I say, look at this. There's been 600 people watching and 190 likes. Chat. Mucho disappointo.
Not even 50%. Oh my god. To be fair, I forgot to like too, so I'll do that.
You little scum.
There, fixed. Bam.
Crazy Loon whoops on fireworks with a chance of party wipe. That would be good. Also, on the note of dark-skinned elves, actually, I am quite the connoisseur of the dark elves, particularly the ones that like leather and bondage. Those are good dark elves. The Japanese dark elves are a good form of dark elf. We need more dark elves. Hashtag representation matters.
Yes, look at them. They're like, there's going to be a new season of Lurking Hunger. I know, I'm about as excited. That was the first campaign I ever did. That was the one where I died a lot. I got fucked up a lot.
We do need more dark elves.
He's on a tangent, champ. He's not going to break from that.
Dark elves are kawaii. We need more dark elves.
Discordia, my dark elf queen. Uh-oh. Disco's like, oh shit, here we go again.
Gnoli, hey Arch, been meaning to ask, you said you did like the character one too, why so? Also, I'm playing Arch right now, there's a sauropod stomping around outside, fear not, I am working to drug and enslave it. Not that I don't like it, I just think that it, at the current moment, is very much so the chassis of a game. There's not enough in it, and there certainly isn't enough information. Like, it needs basic shit, like target markers, altitude markers, targeting information, like a radiation system, radar, sonar. It needs so many more things before it becomes really good and interesting. But if they can expand upon that and actually make it a featureful, flavorful game, I think it could be a lot of fun.
Why?
And Crazy Loon. Well, elves are blonde-haired, blue-eyed, white skins. Racist.
They're the Ubermensch. Yeah.
Notice that Ubermensch is the only term that Kyle doesn't screw up.
Aw, shit. You know that scene where that guy's sweating? That's me right now. They're on to me. They're on. They know. I took German, though. I can actually remember some of the words. Until I speak to a German. And then they're like, ha ha ha, keep man no pronounce word. It's like,
The only word he commands, Kyle has excellent command over certain words like Übermensch, Untermensch, Lebensraum, and ein Volk.
the most
These
common
are words that
words.
Kyle understands.
Yes, yes, yes.
In common usage in modern day Germany. All right. I will wrap it up there, everyone. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully we'll see you all again next week and tomorrow with the Skaven RP. Kyle?
Are you ready to go
Ein
play?
Volk? Ein what? Ein
We're
Lebensraum? Ein
going
Steel Division?
to play Steel Division. So we'll see you guys later, or we'll see you guys there. Goodbye. You gonna say goodbye? How does this work? He's not doing it, chat. It's making it weird.